And welcome back to another episode of This Week in Photo. I'm your host, Frederick Van Johnson. This is a very, very special show that we're doing today. If you notice, there's a lot of ambient noise around if you're listening to this on the podcast. And that's because we're at WPPI 2014 recording TWiP live from the Panasonic booth here on the show floor. It's going to be good. Very, very good. We're going to be talking about mirrorless cameras. We're going to be talking about some of the crazy stuff that Panasonic has released in the recent weeks. We're going to talk about ethos behind mirrorless versus DSLRs, all that stuff. And joining me to tackle these topics, Mr. Julio Shoriel. How you doing, Julio?
Good.
It's going good, man. It's always a pleasure talking.
Always, man. Always.
Yeah. Cool. And you're branded. I like you're wearing Julio Shoriel shirt. Just in case you forget who you are.
That's it.
Yeah.
And if it's upside down and backwards, it says something else.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Play it backwards. William Ennis, wedding photographer extraordinaire, also on the stage with us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
These are your peeps here, right? This is your show.
This is my show. I love this show.
Yeah, welcome.
I've been coming 8 years, so I love it.
Wow. Okay, guys, let's jump right into it. So, let's talk about Micro Four Thirds. Let's just set the stage. Micro Four Thirds as a standard, right? So, my understanding is that it's a consortium. The format or the standard was a concerted effort between Panasonic, Olympus, Leica, and maybe some other folks. Can you kind of describe what happened there for us to get that standard?
Yeah, well, the standard is, the Micro Four Thirds standard is based off of the 4/3 standard, which was just DSLRs with a 4/3 sensor. But the whole idea was to make a system that's a pure digital camera. So basically starts changing the whole paradigm of camera design. To instead of having it to be based in analog, now this is a pure digital standard. So when it went to Micro Four Thirds, the mirror went away, and you got things like a constant live view. You're able to get higher quality video, smaller cameras like the GM1, and a variety of other amazing stuff that we talk about all the time. But
yeah.
I think what's most important is you have two major companies making camera bodies and lenses, and you got somebody as high-end as Leica that's in the mix as well. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and known for their glass. And the whole idea between, taking the mirror out of the mix. What kind of features does that enable when you go directly? The light beams go directly to the sensor.
Right. So you always get a live view. There's never any viewfinder blackout. You don't have to shoot and then look at the screen. You see it live, and you can actually see what your image looks like before you actually take the picture because it's a constant feed. And if you have a constant feed, then it's like, cool, I like this in color, I like this in black and white. There's absolutely no guessing. Yeah. It's just a more intelligent camera.
But this is nothing new, right? I mean, with even like your basic video camera, your consumer-based video camera, that was doing all this stuff like decades ago, right?
Right. So yeah, camcorders had live view, but they were camcorders. Right. They were camcorders. Now you have a larger sensor. You got a lot more intelligent information with the processors and software in the camera. Yeah. And again, these are designed for photographers. Yeah. I don't want to take pictures like this.
Right. Yeah.
Like this.
Well, unless you need to be like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So William, let's talk about the stuff that you do. So you're out running around the world. You're shooting weddings, all this stuff. So the question I have, and I hear this a lot, and we talk about this on TWiP a lot too, the perception of the DSLR or the larger cameras, whether it's Nikon, Canon, Sony, whoever, but these bigger cameras being able to create a superior image. And using one of these with the smaller sensor, which is roughly half the size of a full-frame sensor, right? How could the physics don't work? How could you possibly get that quality? What would you say to that?
I would say you can get great quality out of these cameras, and I do it all the time. Yeah. And we have pictures hanging here in this booth that are amazing and blown up like very, very large. Many times when I have wedding consultations, that objection will come up with clients. They want to know what equipment you're shooting with, and the easiest way to get rid of those objections is just show them examples of the work. Yeah. Show them prints, show them on your screen, do a slideshow, or show them an album that has been shot with these cameras, and the objection goes away. So in my world for weddings, this is more than enough to get the quality that I need.
So what about so that's the client perception, but what about the other photographer perception, right? I mean, not that you're shooting for other photographers, but from the standpoint of, say, a company like Panasonic that wants to lure people onto this format and show them that it can be just as good as other cameras or better, so what do you say to those peers that say, "Hey, William, you're shooting with the Micro Four Thirds"?
Yeah. I just tell them, okay, try the camera, look at my work, and look at other people's work, feel it, and try it. And it amazes me how many people have tried these cameras, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, really?
Yeah.
This is awesome. And it's very easy to use. And the beauty of it is, besides stills, you can take fabulous video with it too. And especially the new camera that.
The GH. Yeah, we're going to talk about this one in a minute. But I know you have a GM1 over there somewhere.
I do.
So that's which is, by the way, my GM1.
It is your camera.
That I personally purchased. It's not given to me. I bought that on Amazon.
It's a great camera.
I love that camera. So that camera, tell us about it.
I love this camera because besides shooting I shoot weddings so I can travel. I love traveling. And I just took a trip to Morocco 3 weeks ago. I spent 12 days over there. And I did not take a big camera kit with me. I took this camera, I took a GX7, I took about 5 lenses, and I had them in the bottom of my backpack. And that's all I took with me.
That's it.
And the other thing...
And extra batteries.
And extra batteries.
Yeah.
And the other thing I will admit, these cameras have a mode called Intelligent Auto. Now, when I shoot weddings, I'm full manual, everything. Manual focus, manual aperture.
Really?
Yeah, pretty well. I'll use autofocus at weddings, but the rest of it's all manual.
It's all manual. Okay.
When I went on this trip, I set it on this Intelligent Auto mode. I never took it off.
No, why? So what's intelligent about Intelligent Auto?
I don't know. It's very intelligent. There's something.
You just give the answer. It's better than auto.
It scares me because we would. My wife likes taking pictures of food. She's taking a picture, and the camera shows this little picture of food. It's like it knows.
Like, how does it know it's food and not a landscape?
I think there's a satellite up there or something, like they're checking it out. I don't know, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I have to test it. I was taking a picture of an infant with that thing, and it knew that it was an infant. It threw up a little icon of infant on there. I'm like, how do you know? And then what are you doing to make a better picture of an infant? It's just amazing. Yeah.
And the other great thing about it too is when I travel, now I'm not wrapped around the camera, so now I get to experience the country I'm in and the culture because I'm not spending a lot of time fiddling around with the camera. I'm just capturing the image that I want, and we got great images with these cameras.
That's crazy. I'm very happy with that purchase. I feel like I got to learn how to use it. I have a GX7 as well, but there's nuances that that I got to get familiar with the camera before I take it into battle.
I like your case.
You like that little half case? That was on Amazon too.
I do.
I love it. I love it.
Beautiful.
It adds to the retroness.
It
of the
does.
Camera. So Julio, looking at this guy, so that I would say represents, I wouldn't say low end, but an entry level to Micro Four Thirds maybe, but with no concessions.
Right. I mean, there are some features in that camera that or in this one that does not have.
Right.
The image quality from that small camera is you can go out and shoot an assignment with it, no problem. In fact, I'm challenging myself to find a client that's going to hire me, and I'm to shoot with one of those, and I'm going to show up and shoot a cover with that.
Shoot the whole thing?
Yeah.
I love it. So then contrast what that one's for versus what this is the new flagship GH4, which its claim to fame is to shoot 4K video. Right. So first of all, tell us the features. Some of the features. Don't go through the whole list. But
that would take hours.
Some of the cool features in this one that you really like, and then I want to talk about 4K.
Cool. Well, the thing is, 4K video, you have to have such an incredible amount of horsepower to process the video and process it well, and have a really good image quality. So that processing of 4K video directly relates to higher image quality. This is a brand new sensor designed specifically for that kind of higher image quality for a high-end professional. This is a bread and butter camera for most pros, and a much larger electronic viewfinder. The face detection autofocus is spectacular. You can actually shoot continuous face detection autofocus at 7 frames a second.
Really?
You'll nail that focus.
Wow.
Which is cool. And then of course,
Could you shoot sports with it then? I mean,
you could. How good it would be compared to, say, like the high-end Canons and that, because I don't know, because I don't shoot sports.
Right, okay.
But when I did test this with a moving model, it nailed the focus. Okay. So that was impressive. But the 4K video is really cool because you're going from a 2 megapixel frame of video, which is standard HC, to an 8.5 megapixel frame of video, which is 4K. Yeah. So you're talking 4 times the definition. You can actually take that video clip, pull that into Lightroom, extract a frame and make a print from that frame of video.
See, that is what it seems like that's been the holy grail since digital cameras showed up. You know, wouldn't it be great if I could just shoot video and then harvest it and pull out frames and sell those prints and print them or whatever? So you're saying that are we there?
You're totally there. And now the thing is, it's not intended. I don't see it as a replacement for a still, but it's essentially another product. So you have your still image, you shoot some video, then from that video clip you can do a variety of things, make animated portraits, throw it into some sort of pro show web presentation, and pull frames when you need to and print those. Wow. So instead of having to go onto a shoot and having one product, now you can have 5, 6, 7, 8 products on the same shoot. On the same shoot. Now, William, I saw a video in which you got your hands on one of these. I know they since yanked it out of your hands.
It didn't last long. I think we had it for a day. Yeah.
It was a hot potato, right?
It was.
So, but you got a chance to test it and do a shoot with it. What did you think?
I had 2 shoots with it. I had 2 different cameras. I got to shoot some stills with it, and I love the stills, the low light capability. It has a new sensor, a new engine built into it. The colors were amazing. So from a still point of view, I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks ago, we had a wedding in Los Angeles, and I hired a local friend of mine to come and shoot some 4K video. He was there about an hour, and we edited it down to a 2-minute video, and it's stunning. It's playing here behind us on a 4K TV. There's a shot of an old Packard from 1930-something in the video, and you want to sort of reach it through the TV and touch the car. It's that amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So when you get one of these or 2 of them, you know, and you take them to weddings.
2, yes.
Yeah, of course you need 2. And you take it you start shooting professional work with it. Like what you were saying about the idea that you can pull frames, are the frames that you pull from a GH4 okay to putting a wedding album?
I think they're more than okay. I saw an example last week where we did that. We pulled this frame out of a camera and printed it 16 by 20, and it was amazing. And then somebody asked us to crop it even smaller, and we printed it again, and it just blew me away. Wow. I cannot believe it. So it's there. You can do that.
And is this going to? Are you going to? So when I guess to put a fine point on it, what I'm asking is when you get this and this is in your workflow, is it going to change the way you do your weddings?
I got to think about that more. I mean, there's still situations where you have to sort of run and gun, and there's lighting conditions, and you wouldn't be shooting video.
Sure.
But there are things now that you could do. Yeah. So an example might be the processional. The wedding's over, the bride's excited, she's like raising her flowers, and instead of waiting for that for a still, you could actually shoot that on video now. Yeah. Get the whole processional and be able to pull that out and make a print of it.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, I can't wait to see what you produce with this thing.
It's going to be awesome.
Now, William, I know you got to take off. You have some other stuff to do here at the show. So before you do that, you have that tablet over there. I want to show that. Let's see that. So that's the 4K tablet, right?
Yeah, this is the Panasonic 4K tablet. Again, it's an amazing device. And these are just like some of the images that we shot while we were in Morocco.
That's crazy.
And I just can't get over the clarity of it.
These are all either shot on the GX7 or the GM1.
These were all shot on the GX7 or the GX1.
And these were shot in like the program modes and stuff?
Some of them were. Some were iAuto, or sometimes I use the effects modes if I just want to get a cool black and white.
That's awesome.
And folks that are listening to the audio for this episode, we'll have this video embedded on thisweekinphoto.com. And William, if you'll send me some images over, we'll put those on the site as well.
I'll get them to you. Awesome.
Okay.
All right, thanks for having me.
Very cool. Yeah, thank you. So we'll talk to you soon. So where's your website, by the way?
Just WilliamInnes.com.
Okay, WilliamInnes, INNES.com.
Yeah, cool. I guess I have to give this back to you now.
You got to give it back. Sorry.
I like the case.
Thanks, William.
All right, thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. Okay, so while we're swapping William out, we're going to bring in. Oh, you can hold on that first.
All right.
We're going to bring in Sam KJ. He's from a company called HotRodCameras.com. And speaking of video and that sort of thing, they make this cool Optimus Prime looking transformer gimbal thing for cameras that is probably smarter than a lot of photographers, including me, in terms of keeping your camera steady. So Sam's going to talk to us about why they built this, what is it for, who's using it, all that good stuff. Sam, are you all mic'd up and ready to go?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
So, okay, Sam KJ, Hot Rod Camera, is at HotRodCameras.com, right?
HotRodCameras.com,
Okay, so tell me what this thing is.
Okay, so this is a gimbal, and how a gimbal works is it has a series of 3 electronic motors that control tilt, pan, and roll.
Okay.
And those motors are controlled by a sensor up here, that runs through an umbilical to the brain in the back, which is actually a computer processor that basically tells the motors to keep the camera steady.
Sure. Wow, and that's the whole deal right there.
Yep.
How long will that last? Because clearly it's powered, right? So can I
Yes.
shoot all day with it, or?
Well, it really depends on what you're doing, because the gimbals are run by a lithium polymer battery here.
Uh-huh.
And so if you're going extreme angles like this and
Yeah.
working and doing a lot of this stuff, then you're not going to get as much time out of the battery.
Yeah.
If you're just holding it straight and doing nice, real slow stuff, you're getting a lot more time out of the battery. And it also has to do with balance. Balance is very important with the camera. The better you balance it, the less the motors have to work.
Yeah.
And there are techniques to balancing it, and it's definitely a skill that you learn, but once you have that skill, there's a real
Yeah,
feel
I've
to
seen
it.
you floating around with that thing, and it's just like, it's just floating. You know?
Yes, exactly.
So on this, so I'm looking at this. So there's a display on there, so I can see live what the camera is shooting, and I can also there's a joystick on the thumb. I can control the camera if I want.
Yes,
So
exactly.
can you? I know maybe this is a later iteration. I know, like, say with some drones, you know, a lot of people are talking about the quadcopters and those sort of the hexacopters that have a built-in gimbal on them, similar to this guy. Those guys, you can point it at a subject and say, I want you to stay pointed at that subject while I move around. Can you do similar things with this?
Well, what you can do with this is with the thumb control, you can set it at the angle you want. Let's say that, and then it's going to stay at that angle as you move
that's
around.
crazy. Now he wants one. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
really it's so nice. Defy really spent the time working on the design of this gimbal, and now this gimbal holds 2 to 3 pounds. They also have a gimbal that holds 5 to 7 pounds. 5 pounds recommended. This is 2 pounds recommended.
Yeah.
And they're coming out with a gimbal that will hold 10 to 14 pounds.
Wow.
10 pounds recommended, but can go up to 14 pounds.
Why would you need something that heavy?
And the company is trying to gear towards a lot of cinematographers who work in the professional cinematography industry, and there are lots of cameras that weigh like the Red weighs about that much.
Right.
We are recommending the G2 with a GH4 because this camera is so amazing. You know, you get 4K, you get all the
In that
awesome
little tiny
capabilities
baggage.
in this tiny little camera that weighs less than 2 pounds.
Right.
And so you can mount it on here with a pancake wide-angle lens, which is really what you want for a float.
Yeah.
And we can't stress enough that people should have a dedicated float camera. It's not the way that the gimbal works. It's not exactly set up for a camera to come off and go right back on and run and gun shoot
so
it.
that's the camera. Once it goes
Yes.
on there, you want to keep it on there.
Yeah, all day if you can, because the balance is. It's delicate. It's not difficult, but it is delicate, and so it takes a little bit of time. And so having a dedicated float camera is a very good idea, and the GH4 is probably the best float camera that I know out there right now.
So last question about this guy. Where can people get one, and how much do they cost?
Well, you can get them at Hot Rod Cameras. You can call us at 323-230-3589 or go to hotrodcameras.com.
You'll have to write that number down so I can.
Yes, I'll give you a card.
Yeah.
But you can give us a call at the shop, and it costs $2,600. That's list price. And then, but it works really great with the GH4, and we are also selling the GH4, so people can get both at our shop.
Very cool. And can I get it in red?
You know what? Yeah, custom job. Yeah, we'll do it.
You gotta make a Frederick version in red.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sorry, what's this?
This is a Paralinx. It's a wireless HD monitoring system. It processes. It transmits up to 100 meters line of sight, and it's lag-free 1080p up to 30 frames per second.
So it transmits the video to
Yes.
wow.
So you could transmit what's coming out of the camera right now, to a second monitor or a projector or a television, whatever has an HDMI input. You can transmit video to it.
That's crazy. I may have to get one of those. I may have to get one. I wasn't sold when I saw you. Now that you explained it, I'm like, oh,
Right.
Okay, I need one.
It's
I
pretty
need
cool.
one.
That's awesome.
It's really nice.
Well, Sam, thanks for coming on.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. You take care. You can leave that behind if you want. No. Okay. All right, guys. Next, coming up to talk to us about some business and more gear stuff is Miss Kristen Jensen. Kristen's a wedding photographer in Connecticut, and it's a little bit cold in Connecticut. Go on up. So, G, while we're getting her mic'd
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
let's talk a little bit more. I've got a couple other things I wanted to talk to you about. So, we talked about mirrorless at the beginning, the Micro Four Thirds standard and all that. So, is
this
there
all
a
I need?
place to have
Nothing
more
else?
than one format, and like in your life in particular? You can't talk for everybody here at WPPI.
Right.
But if you want to have a DSLR and a mirrorless camera and a full video camera and that, the way that you work, do you need that, or can you do everything with just one of those?
The way that I work, I prefer to have less gear. Okay, so if I have smaller, less and smaller gear and less gear as a whole, I can focus more on the creation process. You know, you find, like, that's why when we all started photo school or if you're learning photography, what do? You get, back in the day, I got a little K1000 with a 50mm lens. And that's what you learn on because you learn to see and you're not having to really fumble with the camera too much. So if you have for me personally, when I had my DSLRs and I had Micro Four Thirds, it's made things more complicated because then it's like, it's like the paradigm of the paradox of choice.
Yeah.
Too many choices. What am I going to use? Am I going to use this lens, this camera, that camera body?
Yeah, yeah,
So-
and I piggyback on that. One of the epiphany moments that I had, like I think I said this before, was the whole idea that I could get the GM1. I can have which I have GM1. I have a GX7. Those are my two cameras. I also have an Olympus OMD EM5. And I can use all those lenses on any of the bodies at any time. Coming from Nikon, it's not like that. You got to use, Nikon lenses or Sigma or whatever. You can put those on there, but it's not. You're not interchanging bodies and manufacturers and lenses and all that stuff. Now, do you was that an epiphany moment for you as well? Like when you first got into this?
Yeah, I kind of just sold all my DSLR, my entire
You're like,
system.
I'm done.
I was like, I'm out of here because I shot mainly primes. I had Canon L glass. I had like half a dozen primes, and they were nice, and I liked them. But I wasn't gonna try to put one of those massive lenses on one of these bodies and then lose my autofocus and lose this other stuff. It was just less expensive for me just to sell it all.
Yeah.
And get
convert it into smaller.
But I kept the same system. I kept both systems at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you never just want to show up to a shoot with something you never used before.
Yeah. Don't go into battle with untested weapons.
Yeah. So you test it and then work into the system.
Yeah. Kristen Jensen.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Welcome to This Week in Photo.
Hey. Thank you.
Again.
Yes,
This is your second time on, right?
I love it. Thank you.
But this is the first time in person and live and doing this like this.
Doing it like this.
Yes.
And being with the master here.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
The master. The master. Oh.
The master.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yes. Yes.
She's like, oh, I like this.
Oh.
So, Kristen, what kind of stuff do you shoot? What's your niche in photography?
I would say it's lifestyle photography.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're loving it. And you're a Lumix luminary.
Lumix
so you're using
luminary.
Lumix cameras.
Yeah,
to do your work.
I've sort of migrated into it. I'm not fully doing everything with it, but I have a studio. I have my own studio, and I have a rack with all my Lumix lenses and all my Lumix gear.
Yeah.
And all my Canon stuff is kind of moved off into the corner,
it doesn't. Getting dusty.
Yeah. It's just I had to sort of ease my way out of it, and that's what's happened. I haven't sold it, but it's off.
You're in that overlap period, like G talked about.
Yeah, it's just become easier, and I've become much more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And I take it with me everywhere. The GX7 is my go-to camera. It goes in my bag, and it's just become just an easier system for me to use, and it took a while to get comfortable with it and to just feel confident with it.
Yeah.
I think I felt like for clients that I had to come with the big guns, just because
it's
I would
like
show
theater,
up.
Right?
Yeah, like I had to
with
smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, you
I
got to show up like a sumo to act like you can wrestle, right?
Yeah, just and then what's happened too is because of being a Lumix luminary and all the PR we've done and blogging about it and talking about it, now I think it's expected.
Yeah.
Because people want to know about the cameras. I mean, even in my personal life, everywhere I go, if I go out to a dinner party or I have it, people buy it the next day. They're like, where can I buy it? What can we do? So I get a lot of questions.
So here's a question for you. So in your background, you did a lot of modeling, right? You're on stage a lot, you're in movies, all that stuff. So looking at it from this side, like if you could go back in time, knowing what you know now, and looking at the gear that they were using to shoot you back then, which I'm sure was, everything from Hasselblads all the way down the chain, right? In that world, is there a place for these kinds of cameras in the high-end professional fashion modeling, the stuff that you did, runway, all that?
You mean for today?
Yeah, so today. So knowing what you know now, can we use these kind of cameras to do that kind of work? Really?
Absolutely, yeah, because the end result is the quality's stellar.
Yeah. So that's crazy.
I mean, we used to have to take Polaroids. It took, everything took a long time. I was looking at, when you're on Facebook, we do our Throwback Thursdays and look at pictures, and I was looking at my modeling pictures. I've got a stack like this of Polaroids, that we used to take. So, times have changed so much. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing to have gear like this that just produces stellar images, and so that's really what it is the end result.
It's the end result, right? Yeah, but it's also the journey there as well, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's easier for you to get from point A to point B, lighter and faster.
It's lighter. I mean, it's just everything fits in a little bag. I mean, it's especially for wedding photography when you're carrying multiple cameras and lenses.
Yeah. So what are you shooting these days? I mean, what's the?
It's everything. I mean, I photographed a jazz band. Mm-hmm. I just did their CD cover. I photographed an actress last week. I mean, it's really a mix of people. I photographed celebrities, politicians.
Yeah.
It's really mostly people. It's not.
Are you doing hybrid and mixing video?
I'm just starting to do more of that and getting comfortable with it. I know. Are you doing? You're doing more of it, right?
He's the master.
That's all you're doing. Yeah. No, and I know Suzette is too. No, but exactly. But I'm getting asked to do that. I am shooting video. And a lot of my clients are asking for video, so I'm getting more comfortable with it for sure.
Very cool. Julio, so talk about that a little bit. So, animated portraits, hybrid, cinemagraphs, flixels. I could go on and on, right?
Yeah.
So what is that stuff, and why should people care?
Well, essentially, hybrid photography is blending some form of still and some form of video together. Now they could be separate entities. You can have a still photograph and maybe a looping video, but if, considering that video is nothing more than a series of stills, if you're shooting video like a photographer, meaning that you're simply using your exposure and whatever, just like you're shooting your stills, you hit the red button, you record a short clip, then you have a second product, and you can integrate that into other products with your photograph.
Right.
So it's there's a variety of names, as we were just discussing, cinemagraphs, animated portraits, and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it can be confusing. Yeah. But essentially, it's a hybrid of video and still together in a variety of forms.
But so clear that up, because in a variety of forms, right? So I hear, and Kristen, you're probably in the same boat as well, as you start moving into that direction, but I hear the phrase hybrid, which in my head means still, video.
That's what
or plants.
Right. That's what I always think of that too, because I'm doing just what you just said, that it's like a mix of the same shoot, because I'm doing the stills and then I'm doing the video. Yeah. And then I'm doing the stills.
Or I think when I think of hybrid, I think of cars.
The Prius.
The Prius. Yeah. I think of some kind of plants that are becoming legal in California.
Yes.
And Colorado. And other states.
Seattle.
Seattle. Hybrid has many connotations.
Right.
So then when I think of animated GIFs, I think low quality. I think staccato motion, not smooth. So demystify all this stuff for us.
So again, hybrid photography incorporates like Animoto slideshows. That's part of the hybrid photography concept. So because again, that's a form of mixing still and videos, but it doesn't have to be like a slideshow.
Yeah.
Okay. So my animated portraits are a looping portrait that has still and video combined in the form of the still photo could be the person's face, but the video portion could be the earrings moving, or it could be if it's a bride, it could be the gown flowing in the wind. It has the look and feel of the soul of the image is a photograph. But whereas a photograph has just a slice in time, an animated portrait has a slightly larger slice of that time.
Got it.
It's a slight expansion on it. Okay. It's not replacing the printed image. It's not replacing the photograph. It's an addition to the photograph.
Got it.
So that's what hybrid photography is about. It means I'm going to a shoot with a camera like a GH4. And within this camera, I'm going to shoot some stills, I'm going to shoot some video, I'm going to shoot it in different ways. So maybe for my video, I'm going to leave the camera on a tripod or just hand hold it, shoot a short clip, and then from that clip, I can bring that in a Lightroom. I can take the files out, print those. I can take that video file. I can make an animated portrait with like Cinemagraph Pro or Creative Cloud, and then I can take those files and then I can send them over to like a ProShow Web slideshow. That's hyper photography. You're basically capturing multimedia content, and you're making the most products and services to offer your clients.
Yeah.
So as opposed to being, if you ask anybody that's into investing, they're going to say, well, you want to diversify your portfolio. As a photographer, you want to diversify your services and products.
Right.
Yeah, because if you're going to you're going to your client, and you're like, I'm a one-trick pony. And somebody shows up with a camera that's half the size, and like, yeah, I can give you 5 products. I can shoot it all at the same time. And then you can sell more. And that client's like, wow, this guy's going to save me time.
Yep.
They're going to provide me more products and more services. Yeah, it's going to cost more, but the value is there.
Right. I love it. I love it. Harvest the images. Create multimedia content, and then harvest it out.
Because everybody's looking at images on a screen.
Yeah.
And the screen can display sound, or can broadcast sound, display still, display video.
Love it. I love it. I love where all this stuff is going. It's crazy. So, Kristen, where is it going?
Well, that's what I am doing it then. I am doing it. I am doing that. I'm doing that with my corporate people. If I have them, my corporate ladies, they have their hair and makeup on, they're done, and I put a mic on them, and they just do an intro and tell me about their business.
Yeah, it can be
they're already there.
Because the verbiage is still being defined. It's like saying HDR, it's a high dynamic range what? Well, we all know if we say HDR photo, we know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
But that's because that term's been defined for some time now.
Sure. Where's everything going? Where would you, like the mirrorless and all this stuff, what's missing for you right now in your workflow? This would be so much better if I had
more
this,
interns.
or feature set. Yeah.
I love it that I started probably 2 years ago with people asking for more video. So I would say it's about 50% right now. With the estimates and the work that I'm doing.
Okay.
So I think it's but you have to know. Yeah. I think as a photographer you have to be that. Yeah, I think you have to really know how to shoot video and offer that for your clients. I mean, whether it's corporate, I know Suzette does a lot of that with her families. So it really, I think across the board with photography, I think you have to offer that for clients. So.
Love it.
Yeah.
Gee, where's the industry going, do you think?
I think the next evolution of hybrid is interactivity. Okay, so we saw a video, the Swedish hair care company, and they did an animated portrait and a vertical billboard or vertical display inside of the subway. And they had a little Raspberry Pi computer that can sense the subway when it came by. When the subway passed the screen, her hair started blowing.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that's the next step.
Okay.
That's the next step. And again,
integrating the portrait with its environment.
Right. I mean, imagine if you walk past a billboard or some display in a hotel, and the person just watches you as you walk by, or they wave or something. That's where I see this type of photography going. And again, it's photography that's video that's for photographers. So we're shooting it with tools that are designed for photographers. We're editing on tools that are designed for photographers. It has the essence of a photograph, but expanded.
I love it. This stuff is going crazy places. All right, so Kristen Jensen, where can people go to check out your work and maybe hire you to do some of those corporate shots and all that other stuff you do?
KristenJensen.com.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. KristenJensen.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Yeah.
Julio Shorio, what about you?
Small camera, big picture.
It's not julioshorio.com?
That's my portfolio.
Yeah, really?
But good luck trying to spell that. So if you go to small camera, big picture, you can go right to my portfolio.
I just learned how to pronounce your name, and I've known you for a couple years. So
I just learned how to pronounce my name too, so I don't feel so bad.
I love it. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of This Week in Photo. I'm your host, Frederick Van Johnson. If you want to connect with TWiP, you can find us at thisweekinphoto.com, obviously, or on Twitter at thisweekinphoto, on Facebook and Google+. In the blog post for this episode, we'll link to these guys and show some of their work and all that good stuff. That's it. Thanks a lot for stopping by.